Folks, this is John Brammer, your trusty resource teacher. I wanted to help you with your MYP assessment criteria grading by showing you a nifty little trick I discovered. Maybe some of you already know this. Don't be insulted if you do. Also, Aaron Taylor gave me the original idea because he created this rubric and turned it in. And so I've been using that. And I've been kind of playing with ways to make it more useful, easier to use, and more authentic. So one of the frustrations I've had with these MYP assessment criteria is I do feel like going back and forth between those criteria and the MCPS grade, it can be kind of a headache. And so I wanted to show you a way to make that a lot easier and have it all integrated into your grading. So when you log into Turnitin.com, and pardon my voice, I'm fighting a cold. You log into Turnitin.com, you can basically, what we're going to do, I sent you this file as an attachment. It's a .rbc file. So you want to import that file. You can do it into one of your master classes. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's going to show up in your library regardless. So if you go to one of your classes in Turnitin and you go to this tab at the top that says Libraries, click on that. And then you're going to go to Rubric Form Manager. And the file that I attached to the email, you just save it somewhere on your computer where you'll be able to find it. So once you're under Rubric Form Manager, you're gonna actually import this. You're gonna import this file so you have the rubric. So you're gonna go ahead and import it, and you can either drag it into the box. You can select the file and browse for it. But I'm not going to import it because I already have it on my computer. Once you've imported it, it should show up on your list here on the left as being MYP years 4 and 5 assessment criteria. So you'll see that here's all the language from the MYP criteria, and you've got the 4 criteria on the left here, each worth 25%. You've got the 0 through 8 grading scale up here at the top. That should be 0.0. And basically, you're going to use this rubric. You're going to make a copy of it. You're going to make a copy of it, and you can use this copy, or you can duplicate this and modify it for whatever assignments you want. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how, basically in order to duplicate it, you just need to go to this menu, go to duplicate this rubric, click on that. You can change the name of it up here once it's duplicated to whatever assignment you've got. So let's just say I went ahead and duplicated it, and it's I'm making a rubric for my, can I go down any further? This is for my, come on. Stupid Max. That's not the right rubric. It's my, MYP comparison of 2 speeches. So I basically just took that shell, duplicated it, and now I've got this rubric for this particular assignment, which is a common task for 3rd quarter English 10. And what I've done is I've taken this rubric and I've decided which criteria I'm going to use for this assignment. So I'm using criteria A, B, and D, and I made A and B were 35%, D were 30%, so it adds up to 100. I decided not to use criterion C for this assignment because it was a timed writing. It's focused mainly on analysis and structure of their ideas. You're going to see criterion C is more about, how how they use insight, imagination, exploration, and critical reflection, and stylistic choices. So I don't think that this criterion is appropriate for this assignment. It would be more appropriate for an assignment where they're allowed to kind of explore their ideas, or experiment with their writing style, maybe in some kind of narrative, some kind of creative piece, and it's less appropriate for like a timed, analytical, straight up, show me what you know, show me your analysis type of writing assignment. So I'm leaving that at 0 while I add a percentage for each one of these. Now at the top here, what I've done is I've changed the points for each scale. So you'll see that an 8 is worth 20 points. That's the maximum point. That's 100% for this assignment. So we're 20 points. And then I've scaled it down to 1, which is 50% of the total, which is 10. And you can kind of curve this grade the way you want to. I tend to make the curve a little bit top heavy, just because I think that's what MCPS, their mid-semester assessments for the writing part, they tend to be pretty top heavy. Like you can lose a point if you're marked down 1 point on the scale, you only lose 1 actual grade point. So once you've done that, if you're doing this on your own, you'll see a button down here that says save. Make sure you do that before you leave. But once you've got your rubric set up, you go into your assignments, and you go to the assignment that you want to associate with the rubric. So it's going to be, and I'm going to need to do this. Actually, I'm sorry, I could do this here. If you go to the assignment, my assignment is going to be the funeral speeches timed writing. I don't know what's up with the capitalization here, and then I'm just going to edit the assignment settings. I'll show you how you can, when you originally set up your assignment, if you go under optional settings and you go under all the way down to the rubric, and then you would do MYP comparison of 2 speeches. That's the rubric I just made. So that's the duplicate of the MYP years 4 and 5 criteria. But it's just modified for this particular assignment. Click on that, okay. And then I actually do not like these ETS, E-rater things. They tend to be, most of the things they find are not correct. They find mistakes where there are no mistakes. So I would suggest getting rid of it. And you can push this to your sections. I've already pushed it to my period 8. So what you do is when you go into the actual assignment, and you have to go to your class to look at it. So I'm going to look at period 8. And you're going to see that for this assignment, which is the funeral speeches timed writing, when you go in, and you see everyone has turned it in. Wow, everyone's turned it in. Good job. So if you're going to look at one student's response, and then you'll see once you pull it up that the rubric it's taking a second because computer's running slow. You're going to see that the rubric is actually, it comes up here on the right. You click on the little rubric box, and you're going to see that you've got your rubric here from 0 to 20, and each criterion is weighted according to the way you want it. This is a paper I've already looked at. I just to save time, I'm just going to show you like. I think his paragraph organization is terrible, because he's kind of like lumping everything together into one paragraph without thinking about organization. Where's your supporting arguments? Where's your evidence? So I'm going to say I made this comment about his paragraph organization, and I'm going to put that under criterion B, organizing. And that's really the nice feature of this, is that you can associate each sorry about my voice, people. You can associate each comment with a criterion. Okay, So it'll keep track of it for you as you comment on the paper. Again, new paragraph here. He needs to put in a new paragraph because he's switching from one speech to the other. Instead, he's lumping both of the speech analyses into one paragraph, which is not appropriate. So I have another problem with organization. I've got a spelling error here. I'm just going to say that's a using language problem. So here's the problem with his analysis. He didn't really explain what he means by this. But you can also, look at some things like he's talking about friends, Romans, countrymen, lovers, friends. He's subtly manipulating this ignorant crowd. This order he has addressed them in is of the most importance. Rome is number one. So how does this show manipulate that he is manipulating? Okay, so he's making this point here, but it's not very well developed. He's talking about how, basically, it's a good point that for Brutus, Rome comes first, and then it's the people. Whereas, Antony goes along with Caesar's idea of being more of a man of the people, being more sympathetic, not on some higher plane that above the people, which is where Brutus stands. And so that the phrasing, the syntax of those first two lines of each speech are really important. And he identifies that, but he doesn't really do a good job of explaining it. So I'd say he's got a problem with his analysis there. So you can, I could mark this up more, but what I wanted to show you is that when you go into to grade this and you go to your rubric here, you're going to see that you've got every comment is associated with each criterion. All right. So while I was grading him, I was making sure to associate the comments with the criteria. So what's nice is that now I can look at these and say, okay, had problems with analysis here. Definitely had problems with organization of his ideas. And, he probably has more language problems, but I just did a quick look at it. And so based on these comments, what would I give him for each one? Like organization, I would say he would be down to maybe keep in mind that these are out from 0 to 8, so 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. I would probably give him a 3 for organization. And then for analyzing, I would probably give him probably a 5. Maybe a 4. And then for using of language, wasn't terrible. I'll give him a 6 for that. And so you'll see that when you add it all together, it gives him a 15 out of 20. And, this would have raised him more if the percentage was higher, but I made the percentage higher for these two. Okay, so when you go to put in your grade, you have on the 8 scale right here, which basically you can just go ahead and plug these in to your MYP grade, and then you've got your MCPS grade figured out as well. Excuse me. So that's the idea. Hopefully this is clear. If you need help with this, please let me know. To me, it's just a way to take care of two things at once instead of having to do an MYP grade and then try to calculate MCPS grade and figuring out, well, is this an accurate reflection of what this person actually wrote in his paper? So yeah, I would. I just find it to be much more intuitive to grade this way if I'm dealing with two different sets of two different scales and two different sets